Hey there, Taurus. Welcome to your reading for the week of... This always happens to you, Taurus, where I always forget to turn on that top camera. But welcome to your reading for the week of April 28th. You have this stag spirit. Says you are meant for great things. Trust in all that you have to offer. You have this orbiting space. It says something or someone is orbiting you, waiting to make its presence known. So there you go. If you want love, it could be a person for love. I also do feel this could be like a person for business. What I really feel like saying is that you're about to meet someone that's going to help you in like work or business. So if you are, it's kind of like popping into my head that if you're going to like an event for work or like some sort of conference or something, that might only be for like one or two of you, but you could meet someone very important that kind of like helps you out in some way. So I would be, out there mingling and mixing, and, I would take advantage of it, especially if you're, going to some sort of conference or, some sort of work thing. I would get the most out of it. You have the Magician, the Moon, and the Hermit. The Magician kind of says you can have whatever you want this week. Really, the trick is the Nine of Pentacles. So the Nine of Pentacles is a card of gratitude and luxuries. It's a card of focus as well. So if you do all three of those things, then you could manifest things in your life very quickly. And that's what I would be doing with this Magician energy. The Magician also kind of says, for you this week, I feel the Magician is talking about your tools. He has mastery over all the suits in the tarot in front of him. And so he really makes sure that he's using the right tool for the job. Anything that he's doing or anything that he's working on, if something isn't working, he'll change the tool. Maybe he's being creative, but maybe he needs to be more logical with the swords, or maybe he needs to put more emotion into something with the cups. And that's just also popping into my head that like how you approach things this week or the tools that you use is going to be very important. And like I said, if something doesn't work, it doesn't mean that it's not working. It just says, maybe you're using the wrong tool for the job. And that's what I would pay attention to. The other thing I want to say is that he is pointing down to the Emperor here. And you started with this stag spirit, which says you're meant for great things, trust in all that you have to offer. But this is great energy for taking the lead on anything that you're doing. So, if you're taking the lead in business or work, or if you're wanting to become a leader or something, I do feel that a lot of you could just be taking the lead. You have the Moon. I don't know. I feel like everybody feels like this week here, Taurus. It's just pretty obvious to me that it's like we're still in a little bit of a confusing time. We're kind of getting through all those retrograde shadows, and actually at the end of this week we will be past Mars retrograde shadow and some others, but it's like one of those things where I feel that people could still be dealing with confusion, and also we just had Neptune move into Aries. So Neptune in Aries is, especially when it changes signs, it's going to be like stronger, and, because it's right at the beginning of Aries, right? And so, Neptune in Aries, Neptune just in general, doesn't matter where it is, can bring like muddled, unclear thinking, or just like a lack of clarity or not seeing things clearly. Part of me feels that people who are just okay with that are probably going to do better than people who aren't okay with it, right? Like if you have to know all the answers to everything that you're doing before you get started, you're going to have a hard time. But if you're okay with just saying, I will just learn as I go, then I feel things will go really well for you. So I would embrace that energy with the Moon. You have the Hermit. I think that you need to get more light at this time, and it's like stepping into light. The thing with the Emperor, like to be a leader, you have to claim it with the Emperor, and the Hermit would say you have like all the tools you have in the Magician as well. You also have the light to be able to take the lead. But, I always say that the Hermit's next step is to kind of become a teacher. But he's not teaching anyone anything. He's just being a living example, right? And so he's here isolated at the top of this mountain. But, again, this isn't like accurate tarot or anything, Taurus, but just, I kind of have always felt that the Hermit's next step is that he should come down from the mountain and he needs to shine his inner light. So it's kind of like saying don't hold back, right? And I feel it's saying like put yourself out there more this week. And especially again, like I was saying, if you're going to like any work events, any mixers at work or whatever the hell you're doing, doesn't matter. I would make sure that you're mingling and shining your light, because there seems to be something important for some of you. With the Magician, you have the Strength card. Like, I feel Taurus, of all the signs, really needs to look at everything that they've learned. It's like it's almost as if I get this feeling for Taurus, and I don't really feel this is a bad thing. I think it's only bad if you don't take action, right? But I get this thing for Taurus where it's almost like you've been through college for years. It's like you've been learning things from the school of life for a very long period of time. But it's almost like you are still acting as if you are in preschool. Again, I'm not saying that as a criticism, Taurus. I'm saying that as in, like, you are undervaluing, what you know. And so, number one, I feel like that should give you a lot of confidence, because it's like you've developed the strength to handle a lot more. So if there are any big changes or any accomplishments, you have the world coming up in a little bit. If there's anything you want to achieve, I feel this is saying like you have everything you need to be very successful, but you have to believe it, and you have to understand that you are kind of like, you are it's almost like you are overtrained. You almost have too much information, and maybe that's part of the problem. That's kind of the feeling I get on that card. With the Moon, you have the Ten of Cups, which is great. You have the Ten of Cups twice here, so here and here. Now, the Ten of Cups is an interesting card because, it is a good card. It can represent happy home, happy family. It can represent fortune after difficulty, but sometimes the Moon can say that this is an illusion. Just like the Moon can represent an illusion. So what they are celebrating above their heads, might not be real, or maybe it is. They don't know. And so they're kind of like, sometimes the Ten of Cups with the Moon can represent like a little bit of delusional thinking, or wondering if you're delusional, like if you're thinking about something that isn't going to happen. But what I would say is that you have the Ten of Cups showing up in the good stuff. So I feel that this is saying like, no, you absolutely can achieve your Ten of Cups, whatever that is for you. It's going to require work, of course, you're going to have to put that work in, but if you do, then you'll get it. With the Hermit, you have the Ace of Wands. Yeah, it's like time for a new beginning. I think it's time for like refreshing energy is kind of what I feel for Taurus. It's time for you to like enter into new worlds, new things, move in new directions, all that other good stuff is what I would do. I would follow your inspirations. I mean, the Ace of Wands is a card of inspiration, and I said that you have to inspire with the Hermit, so I would go and, go do something with your life so that you can inspire other people, and that's really what I would do with that card. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this card. It says, nothing is yet set in stone. You also have this card. It says, you and your loved ones are safe. Yeah, I feel like you are protected, and should also give you confidence. The card that says you and your loved ones are safe. Like if you're worrying about family or, people in your life, I feel you need to know that everything is going according to plan. Then I feel the nothing is yet set in stone card is kind of talking about the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. It says when you know that something's going to be successful, it'll be successful. So you have to believe it deep down inside that you can make something happen. But there is a grounding element to this reading, right? Even the Magician, we have to do things to manifest with the Magician. We can't just think about what we want to manifest. He has those tools in front of him. He has to go and use those tools to ground something in reality. I always talk about making things more legitimate, in life. So if there's something you want to accomplish, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, there are things or activities or habits that you can develop to make whatever that thing is more legitimate. Like if you want to have a business, for example, you could register an LLC, you could start a website, you could start your social media. All those things would make it more real, even if you're not doing it yet. And I feel like the Seven of Wands is saying, what can you do this week to make something legitimate? What can you do to make it more real? And that's what I would be looking at, because he is cementing his reality. He's defending his position at the top of this hill. And he's doing things to, again, make his position more solid. So that's what I would be doing with that card. You have the Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles, of course, card of independence, gratitude and luxuries, focus, your environment, all those things. I do feel like you're in a very independent place. I mean, you're definitely like getting ready. If you haven't already taken the lead on something, you are about to. Is kind of the feeling I get on that Emperor. I feel like some of you have, some of you haven't, but I feel that a lot of you are kind of in this independent position. With the Nine of Pentacles, we definitely get what we focus on. So, obviously make sure you're focusing on the good things, not the bad things. There's some sort of like shift that you're going to be having this year. It just popped into my head, Taurus. It's really interesting how that just popped into my head. Like, I feel like this year in particular, you could have like this sudden mental shift about like where you're investing your energy. I feel like something's about to be shown to you as well. It might be May or June is kind of what I'm getting, even though, it's coming up right now. But the other thing is like sometimes I think before we have a shift, we start getting those little like seeds of thoughts that pop into our head that kind of are starting to push us in a direction. But it's almost like I see you, like the way I read is I put myself in your shoes. It's almost like you are seeing a picture of something and you're realizing that the picture doesn't look right is what I get. This is not a bad thing. I feel like this is a good thing. And I do feel this could be financially related. It could be in work or business. It's like maybe you're seeing a picture of like where you work or, something like that. And you're saying, you know what, I don't really, I feel like you're almost saying like, I don't fit in, but not like in a bad way. I feel you're just saying like, this isn't who I want to be, and I feel like you're seeing a picture of like what's going on. And I don't know, maybe we'll get more on this once we get into May, but definitely seems to be like a theme for you. Again, it seems like something where, like I said, you're like going to an event or something, and it's like maybe you notice the type of person that's at the event or something, and that's causing a change. But I feel like this is happening like early summer, May, June. You have the Seven of Pentacles. Here's the change. Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? You could be noticing that something isn't worth it. Or you could be noticing that they're just better options, right? I mean, Seven of Pentacles really isn't a bad card. He's just learned everything he can learn by growing these Seven Pentacles, and he's ready to make a change. So it's not really like he's suffering or anything like that. He's just saying, I've gotten enough out of this situation. It's time for something new. Yep, with the Seven of Wands, you have the Five of Swords. Do not argue with yourself is what I'm getting here. It's like sometimes I think we make up these rules. I do it, so it's like I'm not criticizing you. We all do this, where we come up with these ideas, but we make our life harder by coming up with these like rules that we put on ourselves. And I don't know how to clarify that any better, but that's kind of what I'm getting off of this Five of Swords. It's like, there could be certain things that you're resisting that would actually make your life easier. And I'm not getting like traditional Five of Swords energy. I feel this is more just like you trying to be right with yourself. And but it's like really you could be preventing yourself from being successful and all this other stuff. It's like, the best example I can give you is I teach YouTube on the weekends, and always I'll tell people no intros on your videos, right? Like, you sometimes you watch on YouTube, people will have this big long intro where it's like they're showing different scenes and things like that. And I tell people all the time, don't do that. And I always have people who argue with me, and they'll say like, well, I want to be different than everyone else, which is fine, totally understandable. I'm like, yeah, but you're preventing yourself from being successful. It's like, yeah, I know you can still be different without, doing something that's ruining your chance at success. And, that's kind of the best way I could describe what I feel there. With the Nine of Pentacles, you have the Ace of Pentacles and the Justice card. The Ace of Pentacles could be like a big opportunity. Again, I would really be paying attention in work for sure. I mean, it was like literally the first message that popped into my head that there could be like a big opportunity or something like that coming in for you. I also am getting something about like work you've done in the past, which normally I would say on the Eight of Pentacles, but with the Justice card there, like this could be karma, but I kind of just feel it's a return of energy that's coming in for you, Taurus. And it could be like you getting paid for work you did in the past, or if you didn't get paid for something that you did in the past, like it might not be coming from that situation, right? Like sometimes I think we get positive karma from something else. It's like the universe pays us back in a way. And I kind of feel that for you. Like if you got burned on a project or something, it's almost like you could be getting paid back this week. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Ten of Wands. Yeah, it's like, don't make things harder on yourself. Like I said, that Five of Swords was really telling me that. The Ten of Wands is like being burdened. And that's kind of like the feeling I get here. It's almost like the difference between abundant thinking and limited thinking. I'll give you another example as well. I was once talking to a person, and they said they wanted to publish their book. They had written a book. They wanted to publish it on their own. And they were like, but I don't want to publish it on Amazon because they take 20% or whatever it is. I don't know how much it was. But, and I was like, well, it's like, sure, but you're getting a lot of distribution. It's like, abundant thinking is if I put it on Amazon, yeah, they take their percentage, but it's still better than traditional publishing. And also you're still, if you sell 1 million copies, you're still going to be pretty happy, right? And that's what's popping into my head with this 10 of Wands. It's like saying, don't look at something from that lack of abundance perspective, like thinking like, oh, if I do this, there's this little restriction that's happening. It's like, look at it as an opportunity. And I don't know. That's what I'm getting here. I don't know who needs to hear that, but that's what I get with that card. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this card that says, Spirit has a plan. There you go. You have this Bobcat says, life is a mystery. The moon. So the moon also kind of says life is a mystery. We don't always know why things happen or, why we're being guided in a certain direction, but usually it all kind of like comes together and adds up to something. It is almost like the universe or spirit has a bigger plan for you here, Taurus, and I feel that's what you need to realize. And, maybe that's why you're being pushed in this kind of like direction and of like needing to look at something more abundantly or needing to look at something from a position of abundance instead of the restriction. I'm also like, I'm kind of wondering that as well. Like for some of you, I'm wondering if there is an opportunity, Ace of Pentacles, where it kind of like looks like there's a 20% or 30% restriction, but really the opportunity will be much, much bigger than that 30%. I hope that makes sense. It might not even be a percentage. It might be some other restriction that you're thinking about. But, again, I would just research it. I'm not saying you have to commit to anything here, but, I would look into it. You have the World, the Five of Swords, and the Emperor. The World can be like an accomplishment or achievement. You show up right here on the card, so it's kind of your card. Really, we read the World as Capricorn, but the World could also be you showing up here, so kind of puts you in a position of power and strength. I feel like you're also ready for a change. The World is like a birth card. It's the last card in the major arcana, and then we start all over again as a Fool. So a lot of you could be kind of reaching a finish line this week, or you could be rebirthing something. You have this Five of Swords again, so the Five of Swords is repeating. Like I said, I would, even, it's kind of funny here, Taurus, we go down to the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is coming up in the good stuff, so it's going to be positive, but the Knight of Swords is kind of my card that says do not jump to conclusions, right? Don't just assume that something isn't going to work or something isn't going to, or, that something is taking too much of a percentage or whatever it is. So I kind of feel that energy in the reading, obviously. The Five of Swords can also represent taking a risk. I do feel Tauruses have to take a risk of putting themselves out there more. So, I would definitely do that. Whatever you can to put yourself out there, or whatever you can do to, get more attention or stand out more, I think would be very beneficial with the Five of Swords for sure. You have the Emperor. You're clearly having to take the lead on something. I feel like acting like a leader would be very beneficial with the Magician as well. Sometimes we just have to act as if. You always get these like act as if cards with me. You don't have any in this reading because I'm trying to make a point, but a lot of the times you get those cards. And so there are certain things that leaders do and certain like responsibilities that they have to take on and all that other good stuff. So I would start acting as if you are a leader, and I feel that will make you a leader. With the World, you have the Three of Cups, more attention. Like I said, shining your light with that Hermit energy going this way. The Three of Cups is kind of a card of building a following. I mean, some of you literally could be building a following. For others, you could just be taking the lead in business or work or somewhere else, and that could also have people that want to like form a community around you here, Taurus. So I think that's pretty much it that I'm getting on that card. With the Five of Swords, you have the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, it's like there's two ways to look at something. It's like you could look, sure. It's like I said, I really feel there's like an opportunity. It's pretty clear to me that there's an opportunity coming in for you. I'm not saying it's a percentage thing. I was just using that as an example. But it's like there's some sort of opportunity that it's like you could look at it as a restriction or you could look at it as abundant. And I feel the abundant side is going to be much, much better way to look at it, right? And that's kind of how I feel about this Two of Pentacles energy, is that, kind of taking the abundance perspective on something is going to be very helpful. I wish I had more. I wish I was getting more on that so I could give you some more examples, but I'm not. And so, again, but I think research would help you. With the Emperor, you have the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune, we have to control. The Emperor is controlling. He's not really a card of control necessarily in the tarot. The Chariot and the Strength card, which you have, are the two cards of control in the tarot. Chariot is hard control. Strength card is soft control. And the Wheel of Fortune is also about needing to take control. The wheel can spin in whatever direction it wants, but there are certain activities we can do to make sure that it spins in the fortunate direction. And so I would take control of the wheel. We can do this again with like habits, facing our fears, learning, self-education, looking into mysteries as well, not just allowing things to be a mystery. If you don't know something, learn about it, and that will get the wheel to spin in the right direction. Next, in the good stuff, you have this Building Blocks card and this Orphan card. The Orphan card coming up in the good stuff would say you are coming out of the cold. The Building Blocks card I love because she has these blocks that are falling around her that are lifting her up. So a lot of you could be feeling more lifted up at this time, or you could feel like you're making more progress, which is pretty clear to me. And especially after this week, I'm doing this video the week of the 20th or the 21st, I think, because today is Tuesday, so the 21st, right? The week of the 21st, if you're watching this video early, is like a little bit more challenging for fixed signs. But I think this week, the 28th, will be kind of a little bit of a turnaround. You might notice more progress. You have the Ace of Cups, the Ten of Cups, and the Knight of Swords. If you do want love, there's a little bit of love here, so this could be a love offer. Knight of Swords is something that moves very quickly, or something that's like rushing into your life. I also feel this could just be happiness because of the Ten of Cups. The Ace of Cups is overflowing emotions, being very happy with what's going on and what's happening in your life, and feeling like things are moving in the right direction. So I do feel pretty good about this card. You have the Ten of Cups. Again, Ten of Cups can be like fortune after difficulty, happy home, happy family, good things happening after a difficult period of time. So there could be like a lot of improvements coming in for you with the Ten of Cups. I also kind of feel this could just be more reasons to be happy. So, there could just be little things happening for you this week that are, overall kind of adding up to a lot more happiness. You have the Knight of Swords, which again, I feel is saying do not jump to conclusions on anything. I would just take your time. Like, again, I always tell people, like, we don't have to agree to anything. We don't have to commit to anything. But I do think sometimes it's worth it to look at a situation. Again, if you're trying to do something and it looks restrictive at first, looking a little bit deeper, you might see the abundant opportunity that actually exists. So I would just like kind of take your time. Don't jump to conclusions. If someone makes you an offer, but they want, 30% of something or whatever, I don't know why that keeps popping into my head, but it does. So, it might not be that. It might be something else where you feel like there's a restriction, but there actually isn't if you look deeper. Or maybe there's like a much more abundant opportunity there, and I would look deeper with the Knight of Swords. With the Ace of Cups, you have the Queen of Wands. It's funny that I said learning as you go with that Moon card in the first row there. The Queen of Wands is my card of learning as you go. You always get the Queen of Wands with me. I think that it's probably because of Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus wants you to have more desire and freedom in life. She's a card of moving towards your desires. And you probably, again, desire freedom more. Even though Uranus will be changing signs, you will still be feeling this for like a few years. So even though it will change signs in 2026 officially, you will be feeling like you want more freedom. With the Ten of Cups, love it. You have the Ten of Pentacles. I love these two cards together. The Ten of Cups and Ten of Pentacles together is like everything you want and desire in your life. And so I feel like you're really trying to build a life that is going to be successful. What's popping into my head here, Taurus, and I know this isn't necessarily easy for Taurus, but, releasing control might also be very beneficial here with that Ten of Pentacles, right? If you have a business, allowing people to work for you might be something that would be helpful. Not trying to control things in general, I think would be helpful with those two cards. With the Knight of Swords, you have the Four of Cups. Four of Cups is in the good stuff. It's kind of like finally receiving an offer that you actually like. The Four of Cups, he's manifested these 3 cups in front of him, but he's kind of like disappointed with the results. And now he's getting this new offer, and it's something that's much better. So there you go. You can't make this one up either. You have this moon card. It says changes in your life. Definitely a lot of changes going on here. I feel like you are changing ultimately. It's like maybe your mindset is changing about things. And, those are I would say that those are the most beneficial changes. You have this wheel card. It says indecisiveness, allowing your life to ramble aimlessly. That's like the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune spins in whatever freaking direction it wants. Most people live in what I call the washing machine of life. They, live on the Wheel of Fortune, our destiny. The Wheel of Fortune is our personal vision for our life. But, most of the time we're just getting tossed around all over the place. If we take control, then we can make things happen. And so I would take control of your life. You have this goldfish. It says increase in material wealth and spiritual growth. It does. This reading looks like both. We have all the spiritual growth stuff here, the Hermit mostly, but we also have a lot of material wealth as well, with like the Ten of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune. So it looks like both. You have the Spirit says heartache over what you no longer have. There has been something like like if I were a fixed sign right now, I'm not, but if I was, I would be looking at like the old way of doing things. We have to innovate. We have Pluto and Aquarius, so we have to like upgrade and like do things differently and look for new ways of doing things. And so kind of like getting with the times is what that card is saying. You have this hammock. It says taking a vacation physically or mentally. Yeah, you probably need a vacation. So, although at the same time, I think a vacation would probably drive Taurus nuts right now. Like if you're not doing something, I think all Earth signs feel this. Like if while you're on vacation, you're probably going to be thinking about working the whole entire time. So, I don't know. You're going to have to figure that one out. But this looks really good, Taurus. I love this reading. I love where it's going. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.